Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. I want to thank you so very much for stopping on this post. You know, there are a lot of things happening in the world today that calls for our attention. It calls for us to be serious about some things that we were serious about yesterday and still able to laugh at. I would say that we do not have that leisure today. Today, there, on top of all the pain and suffering that we as a nation and we as a human race have been enduring throughout our existence, there is added pain and suffering to many more of us today than perhaps others. And I say that it is time that we give our utmost attention to humankind. Sometimes we can watch the wildlife on television and we can see all kind of viciousness taking place in just efforts that are utilized in just staying alive. You know, on the other hand, you can see where situations have merit change, and some of those same vicious animals that would use one another for food can be caring agents that protect the survival of one another. So it tells me that there are two stages in life, even for those who we would kind of say are less than ours. That is their ability to grow and mature from that viciousness into one of compassion. And you would say that even if we could label them as low life, so to speak, and human beings as higher life, you would think that at least we could do the same things. And while many would celebrate that we have made those steps, we could also point back, if we could review that part of history that is true, that some of the things that are taking place today are repeats of things that happened yesterday. And they happen because there are many who do not know the history of yesterday. And I would say to those of us today we are living, and when we came into this world, most of our history was already set. Our institutions were set, our establishment order was in place, and all we had to do was come in and listen to our environment and grow from that. And now we find ourselves in a situation where that which perhaps had been ignored by many of us now has come to the forefront, and there's no way it could be ignored any further. We have come to recognize that we as people of color living in America have not really exercised our right to live. We've allowed others to dictate what we are permitted to do and how much of it we can do. And we do that held by the threat of law, jail, prisons, and death. That's on top of our economic deprivation. And I say that every last one of us should be ashamed, but we can only be ashamed that we knew what the truth is. And we've been led to be as confused as can be. And so it is time that we come out of that confusement by understanding life in its easiest form. And by addressing life in its easiest form is addressing life to us as individuals. And in so doing, a life that is addressive, that would fit any mold, that would fit any individual. That would be the guiding principle as to whether it is worthwhile or not. That worthwhile being merit against what we have today. Now I say that there are all kind of people that living in America. But I'd like to ask black people to join the idea that heaven can be created on earth. I'd like to ask black people to join the idea that paradise lifestyle living in America can truly take place. That we would have to make some changes that would have to come from people who are aware of what might be required in order to do such major steps in our socialization. We would take people who have gone through the pains, people who have gone through the suffering, people who've been beat down, people who've been taken to the lowest levels of life, people who have been treated less than animals, people who have walked in the mire of the filth and the most devastating stupidity of human imagination. Black people. We've endured it all. And so it's hard for someone to lie to us, even to those who didn't go through the rough parts. It's not that you can just say anything to us because we know the story. And I call on black people today to change your mind from what we have been exposed to take it a step higher, because now is the time for change. Now is the time for change. Change is required. We will either take a step up or we will take a step down. There is evil running rampant in this country. There's a man that was president of the United States. They call him number 45, President Donald J. Trump. He came into the White House lying with everybody who knew him, calling him a devil. He came into the White House and at the first threat that he had, asked Ukraine, tried to corrupt Ukraine to aid in a continuation of his criminality that has been imposed on the American people by saying things discrediting Joe Biden, a candidate for president of the United States in 2020 election, holding back promised benefits to this country. Well, we saw white people doing some strange things on top of what they've done to us in this country. And then on top of that, we find that this man, who could not and would not be corrupted by our 45th president, standing out there now against the greatest evil that the devil has been able to perpetuate on humanity, and that's death. A nation that one day went to bed and the next night hiding under tunnels, dodging threats from the agents of Satan. I say that because it's pain and suffering. They're not offering any peace. They're not offering any life. And what is this all about? Power, control, manipulation, man-made, has nothing to do with the reality of God. And here we are, the United States government, as it was referred to by the president of Ukraine, as the most powerful nation on earth. It has always said that to we, the people here, sitting on the sidelines, watching people die, allowing people to die. But then it's also a challenge to the world. All of the people of the world are watching what's going on. They are watching this evil at its highest order taking place. They're watching it. How can this be where there's a God someplace? How could it be? A God. The only God we can see here, apparently, is the God of the threat of death. And so, these Ukrainian people are standing alone. Oh, with support that doesn't mean that much when it comes to standing up for your life. And here we are in America with a man that championed this kind of stuff, who went and stood on the public arena in America and held up a right on sign to the aggressor of these people that he helped put in a minor position. And the American people, many of them on the news, are doing the same thing, praising what we have always put down as evil. This, my friends, represent, here again, white people. The people who have always, as far as we know, had the privileged position. They cannot understand the pain and suffering. They will never understand the pain and suffering unless it came back to them. And they are doing everything they possibly can to stay out of a position for anybody to do it back to them by doing it to the worst level they can possibly get it, like what Putin is doing. And so I call on you black people. We're not afraid. We know there's a God. We know there is a God. And now we're not going to wait any longer for a response from God that was taught to us by those who oppressed us. We're going to respond to a God that is in us, that will save us by giving us the truth, helping us to understand that all the resources of the land came from a power that we cannot see. It came from God. The needs that exist in the human beings that God created, those needs were put there by God so that the resources that have been supplied can be utilized to do exactly what it is designed to do, to keep you alive, well, and happy. And to make sure that this is done, each of us would benefit from that which is done. So we have a gift that would allow us to engage ourselves in the process of creating everything that is in existence, so that whatever we need, want, desire is available to us in abundance, without lying, without cheating, without stealing, without lying, without racism, without bigotry, without hatred, without terror, and without war. This is what we know. This is what the power within us teaches us. And so, my friends, I'm calling on black people to stand up and lead as the original people, and lead. When I say original people, I'm talking about the first. I'm talking about the one from the beginning who knows, and let us show those who do not know the way by doing the way, making those steps. I had planned to talk to you about the evils that's happening in Ukraine. But the bottom line is, what's happening in Ukraine is designed to happen all over the world, where people are still listening to the stupidity, and I say stupidity, of human beings who call themselves wiser and greater than God, who are making machines, call it artificial intelligence. And look what God has created. Should I say more? What do I want you to do? I want you to stop. I want you to think about what I've said. I want you to contemplate what I've said. And I want you to talk it over with others. Discuss it over with others. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, this. There is nothing that you have that is more important than life. Now I realize we spent that part of life that we have, amassing that which we have at our disposal now. But I'm telling you, the truth of it is that without life, that is nothing. And what is happening in the world today, and what will happen if we keep on taking the steps that we're taking, what you have considered as being something right now is nothing, because of the pain and suffering that's going to be coming at us from evil. And so we got to stop evil right now while we got the chance by doing greatness in goodness. Now, there are all kinds of minds out here when it comes down to thinking about greatness and goodness. That's what we're asking you to do. Contemplate it. Think about things to do. And none of it, my friends, has in it any violence. Because violence, my friend, is a sign of failure. It is a sign of the evil one. You cannot submit to violence. Violence will come up to impose itself upon you. You have the right to defend yourself. But a free person won't even do that. Why? Because they want to leave evil to evil and let evil deal with evil and get out of here. So that choice is yours. But I want you to contemplate, you black people taking leadership role, black people taking leadership role in changing America, in making America God's nation. Hear what I say? Can we count on one another? Thank you.